behind the label, I'm Lowell, and we are finishing up our
Final episode
of the Colonel Taylor story.
It's a long,
It's convoluted.
as the Beatles say, a long and winding road. Love that song.
What's the other one? I can't remember the other one.
Yellow Submarine?
No, something about Yellow Submarine. So, well, I'm kind of doing a quick rehash. Jerry's actually going to mix us up a cocktail, and the reason we're doing that is because we are going to be using
Castle Key.
Castle and Key.
Yeah,
so Castle and Key is just up the street. We just tied it in with our last episode. That used to be the old Taylor distillery. That was Colonel Taylor's final distillery. He bought it from his son and tore it down, revamped it, made it into a major tourist attraction. And then basically he kind of died during Prohibition, unfortunately, and never got to see it come to life after that. So.
Yep, two guys, actually Will Arvin and Wes Murray, they bought it in 2014 and brought it back. Spent a lot of money. It was overgrown. I mean, it was...
Yeah, I remember, I never actually got to visit it when it was sort of in the dilapidated state. I remember seeing, like I said, a lot of pictures. I'm on, especially like if you're on any of those abandoned Kentucky websites, that kind of things, people would always come and sort of explore around. And honestly, I never didn't know where it was, but I was like, I want to visit that place. Since then, of course, been there a couple times since they've revamped it, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
So they don't have their bourbon yet. Right now they have a gin and a vodka. Not much of a gin drinker, but I do like a cocktail with their vodka. Actually, it's probably at least a couple of years down the road before their bourbon comes out. They're going to age it about 6 years.
And where are they storing? Are they using their own warehouse?
They have their rick house. That one rick house they have. They have a couple rick houses on the property. The one is supposed to be the longest one in the world. It's huge. It goes on forever. When you drive past it, it just goes on.
You're talking the ones around the curtain? Right?
Yes, it goes on and on forever.
It's a long...
He's got some photos.
Yeah, I'll throw some photos kind of from down there. Matter of fact, I think they even have, I know when I was down there taking photos before, saw some Alltech in there, so they're housing some other people's...
oh, they're producing other people. Yeah. I mean, they're actually storing
for other people.
Yeah, and they're producing some stuff too. That's a lot of that stuff is confidential. Secret, yeah. And so when you go on their tour, they will have rye coming out this year. Usually most people only age their rye about 2 years. So they will have a brown spirit. Right now all they have is vodka and gin. Like I said, I'm not a gin drinker, so we're doing what they serve you at the end of their tour. They offer a gin cocktail, and they offer a vodka cocktail.
Yeah, no, but even if you're a teetotaler, if you don't even like alcohol at all or any kind of spirits, it's still, I would still recommend the tour there just for the history and the grandeur of the place. So while he's making this cocktail, I'm just going to do a really super quick. Again, we have been talking about Colonel Taylor and his impact on bourbon and the history of bourbon. Lots of bottles. He's tied to every single one of these. Of course, the Old Taylor name now owned by I think Jim Beam. The Old Crow is where we're actually sitting right now in the original Old Crow distillery, which has now been converted and reborn as the Glens Creek Distillery. He was in the company, or he was the quote company, as with Barry and Gaines. Yeah, and so that's how he is tied to the Old Crow brand, because he actually built this distillery. The OCD, again, we have that again because David and John have been nice enough to let us use their facilities, and the fact that it is at the Old Crow Distillery, which again ties back to Taylor. The Buffalo Trace is there because that was Colonel Taylor's second distillery, correct? Because originally he was with the Old Pepper Distillery, correct?
Yes.
Up the road. He then moved to downtown Frankfort and had a distillery down there. Ended up selling it to George T. Stagg, but Stagg kept him on, but they kind of butted heads. He ends up leaving Buffalo Trace, or at that time the George Stagg Distillery, and bought another distillery off his son, who actually had a small, more of a craft level distillery. Tore that one down, rebuilt the great Old Taylor Distillery, and that was kind of where his story ends. And that's been, of course, with the actual Colonel Taylor brand. And again, of note, this Taylor is very much different than this Taylor. If you want a really good drinking whiskey, that is really, I really like that. So, where are we on our cocktails here?
Well, I didn't do them exactly to measure so hopefully yours is all right. It's called the Taylorton. It's actually called the Taylorton Station Mule. So wherever it was the train stop. So the passengers would get off there, Old Taylor. So it's actually what it is.
Is there like a little, in the little house or the train station house, is it still down there?
It is, that's where they make these.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they make these at Taylorton Station.
Okay.
And this is not going to be exact, because I kind of messed up on it.
Sorry.
So if you want to make it right, so it's actually 3 ounces of club soda, 1.5 cast-on key vodka, and 1 of like a gent's mule mix. So that's their Taylorton Station vodka.
Now, do we do twist the lime in there, or we just dip it in?
Yes, you can just put the lime in there and just put a little
squeeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this may be a little stronger than usual. So.
Put that right in there. All right, let's give it a try.
It's gonna be a little strong.
Let's see how Jerry does as a bartender.
I did awful. I did awful.
No, it's not bad. Yeah, it's kind of refreshing, actually.
You actually taste there's ginger in it, so you can taste that.
Yeah,
ginger.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
almost like a little bit, almost like a ginger ale.
Yeah. So there's ginger in it, but they have a couple cocktails you get to try. You can try at the end of the tour. We love the tour there. It's very historic. It tells you all the history of the place, of the distillery. Definitely worth going, even though they don't have bourbon yet.
Yeah, like I said, even if you don't drink it, the place it's worth going.
It's definitely worth seeing. And like I said, the rye will be out soon, so they will have a brown spirit here soon. So we definitely think you should come out and visit these distilleries. I mean, you already know about Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about Buffalo Trace. And if you get a chance to go to Buffalo Trace and you're lucky enough to get Freddie Johnson as your guide,
Freddie's good, yeah.
you will never, don't start with him first, save him for last. Because the first tour I ever did was at Buffalo Trace, and Freddie Johnson was my tour guide. And at the end of that, I was like, oh, these are awesome.
This is amazing.
This is amazing. I mean, this, I can't believe they're going to be this good. He set the very high bar. Very high.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. He had a bourbon session
at the
Rippy Mansion, which again is like in our last episodes. Amazing speaker, very motivational, just a really down to earth kind of guy. I really liked him.
Yeah, and his dad and grandfather worked there.
Right.
I mean, they worked there. They ran the barrel houses.
Yeah,
so.
and again, that's kind of one of the things I like about what we're doing is there's history, even in every aspect.
Mm-hmm.
There is it's just history upon history of families working at places, trade, all the wheeling, dealing. I just like all the intrigue. I like the history. I like all the family in it. It's just great. Plus, the cocktails aren't bad.
Yeah, need a little more ice. It was hard to hold ice for a couple hours.
Yeah. Again, if you come here, it is a little bit out of the way, so we don't even have, or now have even cell service. So we had to basically carry ice from, I think McDonald's is where
that's where I got it from. But if you're coming here and you go to Buffalo Trace, which is this direction, or you go to Woodford Reserve, which is this direction,
you can't miss it.
Visit the two in between.
Yeah, it's definitely
Glens Creek, Glens Creek, Castle Key, very different.
Oh yeah, definitely different experiences. This is definitely more the hands-on. You see behind the curtain kind of thing, and you really get to see how the thing is made. David walked us around literally in the fermentation room and showing us the corn. I mean, went through the whole thing.
And we hope we'll be able to get them on here and talk to them and let them show you the products. One nice thing about a small craft distillery like this, if you're going to Woodford Reserve, Buffalo Trace, love them, but you're only going to get like 3 samples.
Right.
And they're all going to be samples products that you can buy over the shelf. When you come here, like I said, hopefully David and them will come in here and kind of show you their products. Tons of products. You can try a lot of different samples.
He gave us some that he's like, oh, we don't even make this yet.
He gave us some out of a mason jar that they were making for another person.
Yeah, exactly. It was a custom run.
Yeah, custom run. So you can try a lot of different things. So, I mean, put this on your stop. I mean, you can spend the day very easily doing Buffalo Trace and Castle Key and Glens Creek, or doing Woodford Reserve with Castle Key and Glens Creek. We come here, on our tour company, we come here on a couple of different tours. We do our Old Taylor, which we're just doing now. And we talk about Old Taylor all the way through, and that's Buffalo Trace and, here in Castle Key. But we also have, working with Woodford County Tourism, we do McCracken Mile. So if you like horses.
Oh, if you like horses.
We're surrounded by horse farms.
And that's one of the reasons when we were driving here, Jerry actually came a different way than I did. It's one of the reasons I come that way is because when you come down New Cut Road and McCracken Mile or McCracken Parkway, or whatever it's called.
McCracken Pike, yeah.
Pike. It's just like a postcard. I mean, it's like if you like rolling hills with thoroughbreds and beautiful farms, and you can't go wrong. So
and it's an awesome distillery. I mean, we do that on McCracken Mile. We do a horse farm, and we do Woodford Reserve, and Capstone Key, and we do Glens Creek. Yeah. It's a full day. Bourbon and horses, the two things.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So Jerry does the tours. For those of you maybe tuning in. And I do the photography. So
all takes the beautiful pictures.
All these locations that we've been talking about. Also, I do for backdrops on photography. Castle and Key actually, like I said, I don't know if they've started their program back up yet, but we'll be doing event photos there. Rippy House. You can even do here. I actually shot some of Tammy the other day, and they actually turned out really well. Just kind of the industrial backdrop. So join Jerry on the tours. Come to see me, get some cool photos, and enjoy.
And stop by these places. Yeah, they really appreciate it.
Yeah,
they really appreciate it.
Give these guys, David and John are great, and really went out of their way. I don't think they even letting anyone else in this.
Not yet.
This room yet. So we're kind of getting.
It's nice there. So. We want to thank you for joining us on the Colonel Taylor. I mean, it's a complicated road.
It is, and I encourage you actually, and I'll probably will actually myself go back and try to read and research all this, because if we really unpack this thing like every minutia, it would take 3 days to try to, we really need like a family tree board or something.
Yes, and and I'm in my top hat.
And the top
maybe
hat.
the only time you see me in it, and we'll go back to Peaky Blinders hat.
Yeah.
Future
I didn't have a top hat, so I kind of stick with this. But I encourage you to ask us questions in the comments.
Oh, definitely,
this
definitely.
Will be on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the grams.
And tell us stuff that if we like miss something, let us know.
Yeah, definitely, especially things like dates. I know sometimes we even kind of avoid specific dates just because of that. Because I was like asking Jerry, like when I do some of the research, you send me some. Jerry does the primary research. I then try to learn what you've sent me, and then I kind of try to look up. And actually, one of the things I'm going to do is find some kind of fact I can stump Jerry with.
It's complicated. It's very complicated.
And so
Bourbon history is complicated.
Yeah, and sometimes the dates, it'll be 1862 on one date and 1874 on another date.
Yeah.
So sometimes it doesn't completely line up. I don't know.
But it's the fun.
That's right.
It's the fun. We get to enjoy this. We get to go out to these sites. We get to see these sites. We get to talk to the people that are making these products and putting everything, their heart and soul into making these products.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we kind of have, on this podcast, an advantage. We're actually in the locations.
We're at Oak Crow.
Yeah, we're not in Oklahoma talking about this stuff and talking about how this stuff tastes different. It does taste different, but that's not really what we want to unpack to you is the history and the intrigue and all the wheeling dealing and how it's all kind of tied together. So I encourage you to watch all of our episodes, ask us questions, make comments.
Make comments and
correct us, give us feedback. Yes, and
come here and see these places in person.
Yes.
They're definitely worth your time.
Kentucky is worth your
time and money.
Yes, exactly. Kentucky's worth your time and money.
It is. So we'll see you later.
Next time.